My name is Brianna, and I welcome you to the Tales of Adventure, a D&D podcast like no other.
Hello, I'm Christian Spinella. I'm one of the guys behind From Afar podcast. We are a storytelling podcast and we use tabletop RPGs as a vehicle for that. Right now we have our current season storyline or whatever. It's called Quest for Atlantis and it's very pirate centric. It's my character. His name is Kipa Willowwind. Kipa is the nickname that he goes by. He's a glamour bard. He's a lot of personality.
Spent a lot of time in the Feywild.
Pardon? Sorry? Excuse me. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. Just coming and sitting next to me. That's fine. Kipa Willowwind. Pleasure to meet you.
The name is Isra, and sorry if I startled you. It's just I can see you've been in the Feywild for a while.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to miss. You know, I got these two horns coming out of my head. I got weird colored eyes. So, obviously, you've got an eye for the arcane, as they say, to be able to spot something like that. But yeah, you pegged me. I am from the Feywild. What makes you so interested? Are you from there?
Oh, but I've been there. I also heard rumored of a village of halflings that disappeared into there, or at least we think that's what happened a while ago, and I'm guessing you would be part of that group.
Yeah, and Kipa would sort of like eyes wide, be like, what? How the hell do you know about that? That was a long-ass time ago.
Like, just heads up. I'm also picturing that Kippa's covering his eye and his horns. He's probably like, how do you know? Let's just say I've been around to the block. I know things.
Wow, okay. So, what was it? It was, Isla? Isra. Great, Isra. Listen, it's kind of blowing my mind right now. How the hell do you know about this shit? I mean, you pegged me. You got me. All right, I guess I'll just sort of operate as if you understand some of the basics. Yeah, my village, we disappeared. We didn't disappear. We went somewhere. We refer to it as the crossing. This would have been, material plane. I think I've kind of mathed it out. Not super good. Somewhere in the range of, like thousands of years. You obviously know about the Feywild, so you know that time just doesn't work the same. We crossed over on accident after we got chased out of our village, and I was only a little baby at the time, but when we stepped into the forest, I'm sure we accidentally crossed some sort of threshold, and all of a sudden we were in the Feywild. And to make a long story short, we made the most of it, started a new village in there called Bent Branch, and, for hundreds of years, kind of being in that weird time limbo of the Feywild, we grew and people stopped aging, and we started noticing changes happen to our body, like, as you noticed and pointed out before. And he kind of, picks up his hat and shows the horns, and started to have weird shit happen, to be totally honest. But yeah, it seems like you kind of got the gist of that. Have you been to Bent Branch?
I don't believe I've visited it, but I've definitely heard of it. That does explain a lot of things.
Wow, that makes me feel kind of good that you've heard of it. It's, I think it's pretty cool. Situated up in the trees, a bit of a halfling ingenuity. But yeah, dude, if you ever get the chance, it's a fantastic place. Very beautiful. It's located right smack dab in the middle of Twilight, kind of, right in between day and night sides of the Feywild. So you always got this beautiful sunset, especially if you're up in the skyline looking out off of like one of the tree branch parks that we got up there. I'm telling you, this place is beautiful. Anyways, sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much. You're just so easy to sort of let loose with. Seem like a chill person.
Sounds like you're from a rather lovely place. My question is, why are you back here?
Oh, back here. See, that's a little bit of a tender spot. He kind of like looks around, separated. I've been separated. I've been, been having I'm okay. I guess I could say I'm on a quest of some kind. I don't really, and he's still looking over shoulder. I'm not sure where Sieg and Aereus ran off to. They were in here a minute ago. So
You're traveling with Aereus.
Oh, wait, what the heck? You've met Aereus?
Yes, I ran into him some time ago. He told me some of what you're doing.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're kind of caught up a little bit.
Yes, I was wondering why your name sounded familiar.
That's probably why the old man can't stop talking about me. He just loves me so much. Well, yeah, so, if you already got the gist, our quest is to find Atlantis. We got this mysterious figure called Neth. We've made some headway. Obviously, we're here, and you and me, we're feed. So, don't go spreading around too much info that we're around here if you could do me that favor. Wouldn't want any ears hearing about us that... Sorry, I'm not very good at being clandestine. Clandestine?
Don't worry, I'm used to having clandestine meetings with people who are not very good at it, so got everything here. No one around can understand what you're saying.
Oh, great. Is that some kind of spell or something?
Something like that. A gift from an old friend. Very
nice. Very cool. All right, well, I guess no fear. Yeah, looking for this figure called Neth. Might have murdered Aereus' son. I don't know if that's inappropriate to say. Some sort of involvement with Sieghart. He's been a little bit more tight-lipped. Long story short, between all of our stuff, we're beginning to suspect that he's somehow involved in, orchestrating all of us to go on this quest. I'm sure you hear that from adventurers all the time, thinking they're, the center of the universe or whatever. Everything happens to them for a reason, but, we have some evidence that appears to be pointing towards that. So, we kind of wing it as we go. We don't really, not very good at the long-term planning thing. Currently, we're searching out some generals. Collect a few heads if you take me.
Interesting. And what do you hope to accomplish with this?
Well, I mean, what do I want to accomplish? There's a lot of stuff that I want to accomplish. Can't just go telling that to anybody. Man's got to have some secrets to keep them interesting. I guess an easy way to say it is I'd like to get back to my wife and my daughter. And when I get back, I'd like to be, a little bit different than when I left.
You accidentally left family behind.
Yeah, separated is a good one. I'm, you could say, looking for the power to reconnect with them. But enough of that. That's sad stuff. I don't wanna bring you down with that.
What are their names?
Oh, their names. Well, all right. I guess I could talk a little bit more about that. So my wife's name is Trellee. She's a daughter of the Arrow Maker. It's a cliche, I know. And we have a beautiful little girl. She is just getting to that age where she's causing a lot of trouble. Her name's Hilly. Yeah. We have a nice little life together in Bent.
Is she of the Feywild, or is she also a halfling?
She's also a halfling. We're all halflings for the most part in Bent Branch. We have a few people, some more eclectic Fey races that stay there from time to time. But in general, most people keep to themselves out there. It's a bit of a dangerous place. Everybody, very protective of their own and their own homes and villages and stuff. But yeah, I'm a few years her senior, not by much. And, obviously Hilly was born there. Interesting thing, we're still learning more and more about it. You seem to be a scholarly type. The kids that are being born in the Feywild seem to take on even more qualities of the Fey. Those of us who crossed over from the material plane to the Feywild a long time ago, our changes happened slowly and over time, and now we are what we are. But for them, they pop out into the world and they're ready to go. We're ready to, Fey it up.
The Feywild is a strange place, but with what I do know of the magic, that does make sense. It's definitely more present than it is in this world.
Yeah, it tends to sort of permeate everything, doesn't it?
That it does, which makes it useful to travel there if you're trying to enchant something.
Good to know.
It's usually why I go there. That or they need to speak to someone there.
Oh, who do you speak to there? Who are your friends? Maybe we know some of the same people. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't tend to hang out with a lot of people other than, when you got a kid and, and there's like the guys are like, hey, why don't you come out? It's like, I can't. Gotta, stay up late and feed the baby. Anyway, sorry. What were you saying?
My friends tend to keep a little more to themselves. But it's possible you know them. Next time I go back there, I'll see if I can check in on your family and figure out why you've been having... I'm assuming it's been a while and you haven't been able to find the way back, obviously.
Yeah. No need to trouble yourself with that. It'll be fine. So yeah, you were talking about some of your friends. Any halflings? Are they more like Eladrin seed? Been to the Feywild, you know how weird some of the people there are. We got dryads, we got fairy dragons, we got merfolk, we got satyrs, we got... Ooh, hey, do you know someone named Minnow?
I don't believe I do. Why do you ask?
Nah, no worries. It's just somebody that I've met over here on, the material side that seemed to know about me.
And this concerns you?
A little bit. She gave me reason to be a little bit suspicious, and, as things go, the next time I went to see her, she had mysteriously disappeared along with one of our benefactors or people that were sort of guiding us on this quest. So, if you keep an eye out for a satyr with one horn named Minnow.
I will. You seem rather suspicious of Fae in this world. Is everything alright?
Everything's fine. I'm just... it isn't exactly easy getting from Feywild to material plane. Not everybody does it just willy-nilly. So when I do encounter one of my folk, I tend to get a little bit curious.
It's true, it's difficult to come through, and I'll have to keep an eye out for this.
I appreciate
Minnow.
it. So what are you doing? You just travel around and talk to people, collect their stories? Are you kind of like a storyteller, story collector?
In a way, I keep an eye out for people who seem to be of noble intentions, or sometimes less than noble, just people who may be good friends to have.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very flattering of you. I myself happen to be a keeper of such, kind of a oral historian. Like I said, our village came from a long, long time ago. So that was around the time when our histories were recorded and passed down from master to apprentice, that type of thing. So a lot of info up in this noggin.
I can imagine. And have you been able to figure out how long it's been since you all crossed over?
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. I think somewhere in the range of 1,000 years or something like that. I mean, it sounds kind of ridiculous to say it so casually, but I mean, once you cross over to the Feywild, you could pop out any time it chooses, when you cross back over to the material plane. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced that. Someone with more control, I'm sure, could maybe choose when they're popping out, but if you're, accidentally sort of crossing over, as we did, and then same as me coming back this way, you don't really get to choose when you come out. Now, my only information to go off of that is ran into some elves not long after I crossed over by the high forest. It's way out east. I'm not sure if you'd be familiar.
I've been there before.
Okay, you're well traveled. Impressive. Yeah. So some of the elves in that forest, I forget what exact tribe or city or whatever those elves call it. I forget where they're from, but they kind of gave me a rundown of what might have happened. I was a little bit confused, and I told them about where I was from, which sparked a memory in some of their older kin who happened to be around back then.
Your friend mentioned you were looking for power for something. I guess it's to be able to get home and not have a large amount of time have passed.
Yeah, something like that.
At least there's a possibility of being able to return home.
Yeah, I've for a long while I was searching by myself, which eventually, led me to running into Aereus and Seekheart, which that has been one of the greatest blessings thus far for me, because up until that point, it was getting pretty helpless. I wasn't really sure where to go, what to do. Could have taken me half my life to make the progress that I've made ever since I met them and we began our journey together. I guess there's something to be said about not doing it alone.
That is true, and fate has a funny way of introducing you to people you would imagine are the least likely to help you, and then they end up being the most important people you've ever met.
That's a good way of putting it. You don't have to tell him this, but me and Seekheart didn't exactly mesh right when we met. Bit of a conflict of personality. But, as things go, and like you just said, the more you get to know somebody, the more you spend some time with them, eventually you start to form a bond, and someone that is very unlikely to be someone you would ever consider traveling the world with and risking your life for, before you know it, you definitely take a knife for them.
Is this something that has happened to you?
Oh, no, I generally tend to stay out of the way. I let them get knocked out and cut and stuff. It's usually not my deal.
That is fair enough.
I've got beautiful skin. I don't want to mess that up with a bunch of scars. Also, check this out. I've got all this new ink I've been doing. It's kind of a new thing for me. I wasn't always a tattooed guy. I didn't think like, I'm going to get a sleeve one day and fill it in. But, it kind of grows on you. Once you get one, it kind of opens the gates, and then it's like, oh shit, I can just do it whatever I want now. So yeah, it's kind of become a little bit of a hobby. Some of the sailors I was with were talking about how they try to tell a story of their lives or something on their body. I'm like, appreciator of art. I love a good picture every now and again. We just so happen to have a wonderful Kenku tattoo artist on our ship, the Sea Monster. So yeah, it's kind of been a natural progression. You can see here up over on the kind of the bicep, tricep, it's kind of curling there. You see it's a couple of tentacles. It's because we fought a kraken at one point. We did lose. We definitely lost that fight, but we did fight one. And a cephorial. That one's pretty cool. It's an octopus that swings around in the trees. Super terrifying.
That does sound absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend hanging out with one. They're kind of nasty.
That they are. Some wonderful work for sure.
Right?
Oh, I imagine you have to be careful with which stories you choose, otherwise you'll run out of space.
That is a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe I should start going smaller on some of these. And then he kind of turns his back and lifts up his shirt. And he's like, see, this one, I might have went gung-ho with my first one, but you can see there, that's actually my home in the Feywild. That's a little taste of what Bent Branch looks like.
It does look familiar. I don't know if I've ever gone in and spoken to anyone, but I do believe I know where that is.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So you got a little bit of a reference.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's not a bad idea, though. I guess, life is short, but also what if it's super long, and then by the time I get to the end of it, I'm all yadded out, and there's nowhere left to put anything.
True, and I get the feeling you've probably lived longer than most.
Yeah.
Also, there's little less of you to tattoo.
Oh, haha! Love that. Halfling joke. I love that. Those are good. Seekheart does a lot of those. I don't have a pride issue or anything. You can just nail me with those, and I'll be good. I can go all day.
Promise I've meant no disrespect.
Oh, no. No disrespect taken. I'm like 2 foot something. I'm short for a halfling. It's kind of insane how tiny I am.
Should make you harder to hit in a fight, though.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm kind of fast, too. So I can, I can get out, dodge around, do all kinds of shit. Yeah. Being this small, you're not the most physically imposing, but when you are able to tap into the magics of the Feywild like I can, you can make up for, a little bit of loss in stature.
I'm sure you can. Makes me wish I could tap into it more, but restrictions make sense.
That they do. Well, my friends have kind of been gone for a little while. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit worried about that. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Captain Falcon, he is the cousin of the sea monster, yes?
Oh, Captain Falcon. Yes, yes, yes. So you're a little bit behind then, I guess. Yeah, he disappeared a little bit ago. We're kind of half also looking for him. We're pretty sure that, we're going to eventually run into him again as long as we keep on this path that we're on.
What happened?
Well, that Kraken I mentioned, turns out they knew each other. A little bit more to Captain Falcon than what meets the eye, apparently. We didn't know that beforehand until he dove down into the depths of the ocean and disappeared with the Kraken along with him. So that's about all we know about that.
Isra just kind of pinches the bridge of her nose and is like, always impulsive.
Oh, you know him?
I've heard of him, and I think I dealt with him indirectly in the past. Unfortunately, as it is, I don't often get to deal directly with most things. But thankfully, I am allowed to just have conversations with people, and then I have other people who have long story, but trust me, it's better when you come from a world that is still there, because the gods get a lot less suspicious of you.
Okay, interesting.
Let's make things complicated.
Sounds a bit complicated. I won't touch too deep on that. Won't be able to understand it. But you, again, very impressed and surprised with your extensive knowledge. But yeah, so you know Captain Falcon a little bit. You ever been on the sea monster? Heard of the sea monster?
Heard of it. Have not had the pleasure of being on it myself.
Oh man, I'm not much of a boat person. Never really traveled too much on boats. It's actually my second ship I've ever been on. But I can even identify that it is a unique ship. It has quite a few bells and whistles. It's got all kinds of weaponry, all kinds of interesting characters on there. We got Earl, giant Loxodon, carries a cannon on his back, shoots it like a gun. We've got Naomi, who is a dwarf that designs a bunch of like big siege weaponry and shit that we use on the ship. We got all kinds of people. Jake, the Jewel of Volcano Bay, Willem, who's an asshole, Slawl, who's just the nicest mind flayer you've ever met. James Wagon Blast, he's a little bit famous in certain parts. I believe he has a few warrants out for his arrest somewhere. He's great, fantastic potion maker, sometimes, if he's not blowing it up. And yeah, I don't know, we've got tons of people on there, tons of friendly faces, everyone's super positive, it's a great vibe. Great.
I may have to travel on our ship sometime.
Oh, yes, absolutely. If you're looking for stories, I'm sure those guys have plenty.
Sure they do. Back to something you said earlier about how you think this Neth or someone else may have orchestrated events to get you all on this mission together.
Yeah.
What do you know of this Neth?
Well, currently not. It's a lot of speculation. Well, we know that he's a being of some kind, powerful being. We actually have recently started traveling with someone that knows him very well, or at least used to, long time ago. That's kind of the hard part. It seems like the events that took place that sort of started this wheel in motion were events that took place so long ago that most people have kind of forgotten about them, consider them mere legends at this point. I mean, you've heard tales of Atlantis, I'm sure.
That I have.
Yeah, I mean, apparently who hasn't? I hadn't, but obviously I'm not exactly from here. So, pretty famous story, one that people just kind of assume to be nothing more than that, a story or a legend or a myth or something like that, but
those powerful are not old enough to know about it. Sometimes there are things that prevent you from saying much.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't want any spoilers, you know. We don't want any unnatural help, I guess. We got to get our hands dirty a little bit here.
Don't worry, I'm unfortunately not capable of such things, but
oh, okay, good.
If the world is about to end, then I can act. If not, I can just pull some strings from the sidelines.
Well, that's good to know that we have a little bit of a backup plan. Not sure it's world-ending level, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah, I hope that answered your question. Sorry, if I knew more about him, I'd tell you, but to be honest, right now it's still kind of a mystery. And look, don't tell the other guys this. I'm not even sure he's our enemy. It just seems like the two things, Atlantis and Neth, are so connected, and obviously Aereus had a pretty negative experience with what he assumes to be Neth, but I guess that's kind of where I'm coming from here. Is it feels like there's something beyond a veil, and we just can't quite see who's pulling certain strings yet.
That does indeed sound like the case. Stories this old, powers this strong.
Yeah, we can't possibly be some of the only ones that know about it. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
Hmm.
So I'm curious, when all of this is over, when you find the power to return to your home, do you think you'll miss your friends?
Yeah, I think I will. I hadn't really thought about that, actually. Bit of a sad thought, but yeah, what will happen at the end of this? I mean, we've all got our own goals, our own lives that we're seeking to right and make better again, but, well, you know, kind of a sad thought, so I'm just going to push it down into the vault and forget about it for now. Try to live in the moment, as they say.
It's true, but something to keep in mind. Start thinking now, maybe you'll be able to, anytime you do have to answer that question, you'll have an answer.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
So like I said, fate is strange, but it's not totally out of your control.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Needed to hear that today. I was having a bit of a down day. It's been good talking to you. I should probably go and try to find my friends before they set sail without me or something.
Oh, I'm sure they won't.
Nah, they've done it before. It's a bit of a joke we have going.
Oh, really? I have to hear this story.
I mean, it involves a lot of swimming, me getting really tired, them having to pull a Yui and come pick me up. But, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it's not our best running joke. Definitely not my favorite, since they tend to do it quite a bit whenever they get the chance. Yeah. Oh, man, that reminds me. You should, there was this one time Seacart was sleeping. I drew on his face. He didn't even notice half the day. He was walking around with a big old wiener on his forehead. It was amazing.
Oh, if I ever get to talk to him, I'm going to have to ask about that.
Yeah, you should. He'll be psyched.
I believe I've heard his name mentioned outside of your friend, too.
Really? Yeah, he's a bit of a wanted man. I guess we all are to some degree. You know, you don't really plan to become a pirate necessarily, but then life happens, and then there you are, you're a pirate. Yeah, we've run into a bit of trouble with the Lord's Alliance, so definitely trying to lay low for the most part. So I'd appreciate it, you know, if you didn't advertise it.
Oh, I would never. Unless I'm advertising that I saw you on the other side of the world.
Ooh, that could be interesting. A little throw off our scent.
Yes, that only works so many times, though.
That's a good point. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure. And with that, I will bid you adieu.
Till next time.
Oh, till next time. Yeah, I hope to run into you again. Here, let me just... And he chugs down the last of his drink and throws a thing of spices and a small loaf of bread, and he says, "Thank you, bartender." I imagine he just turns around and starts going out, and then the bartender's like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
Also, before he leaves, Isra slips something into his pocket.
Oh, what is it?
Just a little trinket and a piece of paper that says, "In case of emergencies."
Ooh, love that.
Oh, it's been interesting meeting you. Until we meet again, Yarlan.
He whips around real quick at the mention of his first name.
She's just gone. Tales of Adventure is directed and produced by me, Brianna Toiber, as part of Pseudonym Social, a creative podcast network. The music is by Patrick Chester of Chester Studios. To see more of his work, visit his website at chesterstudios.net. Find out more about Pseudonym Social by visiting our website at pseudonymsocial.wordpress.com. If you like what I'm doing and would like to support this podcast, please go to patreon.com/pseudonymsocial and choose one of the tiers connected to Tales of Adventure. You can also leave a review on iTunes to make our show easier to find for those who need it.
Welcome, travelers. Seems like you're looking for a story. Well, I got one for you. It involves adventure, friendship, and all sorts of...
Earl, why don't you tell him about that time I stole that big-ass melon?
Yeah, I was going for more...
Or you could tell him about the time I kicked your ass, Earl.
I wouldn't ever tell them.
Do I need to get my ref gear on?
Okay, everyone, shut up. Now come with me as I tell you a story from afar. Hey everybody, my name's David. I'm the DM for From Afar Podcast. A From Afar Podcast is all about four friends separated by distance, but brought together by adventure. Hope you all stop by and give us a listen. Thanks.